perfect except for the usual. But so uncomfortable in these hard benches and chairs. They're so hard and comfortable, but yeah, what are you gonna do? As long as we suffer together. Why do you look so comfortable? Both of you.
He's comfy.
You usually complain about the hard seats. What's that? And him? This is supposed to be for you and I for backpacking, not for sitting at the table.
Well, it works.
Alright, you know what? You actually gave me a good idea for a video today. Enjoy your eggs.
I will.
Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, back for another, I suppose, gear video. I was trying to have a nice little breakfast with my lovely wife and faithful dog, but thanks to their inspiration, we're going to talk about sit pads. Now, specifically the one you just saw by Dutchware. We'll get to that, but also maybe a discussion on sit pads in general for backpacking, camping, hiking, maybe just taking breaks and whatnot. I want to hear some feedback from you guys, and I'll talk about what I've used over the years and what I've ended up with as kind of a go-to on the move ultralight pad. Now, in the past, actually not in the past, all the time, I still do this, the good old classic z-lite. Now this, of course, if you're not familiar with it, you're saying that's really huge for a sit pad. It's because it's actually a sleeping pad. I've done specific videos on this before. It's also shown up in a lot of my feature-length backpacking videos. It's a great pad for sleeping on the ground. Also, though, if you carry it, just to point it out, this is a great option. Can't pop it, etc. And you can check out my sleeping pad video if you want to see the full details on that. But as far as a sit pad goes, this is great double duty. Doesn't require inflating. I usually keep it strapped on the back of my pack for sleeping at night if I was on a tent trip instead of in my hammock. But the great thing about this is pop it off the outside of your pack real quick on a break, fold it out. This is actually more than a sit pad. This is a full-on couch. There's trips where I'm hammock camping and I don't need a sleeping pad at all, and I've still brought this, particularly on group trips, because you can spread this thing out. You can sit down on maybe 3 people, spread out, pretty comfy. This is about 14 ounces. Good dual-purpose solution. But maybe you are either hammock camping or you have more traditional therm-a-rest inflatable pad that you don't want to inflate while you're trucking along on the go and don't want to burn precious minutes. You want something a little more quick and deployable. Well, for me, I did this. This is Reflectix. I've had this laying around because I do a lot of projects with it. It's basically bubble wrap with a Mylar kind of space blanket coating on there. It's made for insulating ductwork, water heaters, stuff like that. You can buy a roll of this, and like I said, it's good for a lot of DIY backpacking stuff. Did a video on making your own pot cozy if you want to check that out. I really like it. It's a good project material to have around. Now this is actually 2 pieces taped together to give it a little more thickness, and it's about that big. You can see there. I would roll it up and have it on the outside of my pack for quick deployment, and it would be good to go. This is about 3.5 ounces. It depends how big you make yours. You can make it smaller, bigger. It's somewhat comfortable. It does insulate from the cold, snow, etc., but a little bulky, a little overkill for a lot of my applications. So enter the Dutchware Ultralight Folding Sit Pad. Here it is right there. You saw my wife and dog sitting on it so comfortably upstairs. As you see right there, much smaller than the other 2 options that I was using before. This is made out of closed cell foam, like the aforementioned therm-a-rest. Now, closed cell foam, that just means that it's not going to absorb water, or at least that's the important part to know about that. Closed cell, so the water doesn't get in. There are foams out there that will get waterlogged. You don't want that. Most backpacking stuff is going to be the closed cell foam, but watch out for that if you're doing like DIY stuff or shopping around. But this right here, no problem, not going to sop up water. So if it gets wet, shake it off, it'll dry out, you're good to go. The weight on this, under 18 grams, actually 17.75 for you gram weenies out there. That is roughly 0.6, a little over half an ounce for those of you into ounces. It's 15 by 11 inches and a little under a 1/4 inch thick. And it's got that eggshell design on there, which actually gives it a little more cushion than you'd expect from something that thin. Actually, it's surprisingly comfortable. Now, of course, it's not going to be the same as sitting on some big 2-inch thick pad, but it's also not going to weigh half an ounce either, like this does. Also, on top of that, it folds down. Boom. Even smaller right there. So you can pop that in a pocket on your pack pretty easily. And when you fold it down like that, the dimensions are 7.5 by 5.75 inches. Not too shabby. In my case, I actually don't even fold it down like that. I'll keep it folded halfways like this and slip it down the back of my backpack. Actually gives it a little more support because I have an ultralight bag, so adds a little rigidity to my bag, and I slip it out anytime I want, bust it out on the trail, sit on a rock or whatnot, and I'm still pretty comfy. The other reason I carry this, I hammock camp, and recently I've been getting into using a 3/4 length underquilt. Now what that means is, compared to a full length underquilt, the 3/4 length goes from about my shoulders down to just below the knee. This here will give me some insulation under my feet. That's pretty much a standard practice. You carry a pad to put under your feet if you're doing a 3/4 underquilt approach. A lot of times with my 30-degree underquilt from Hammock Gear, I don't even need the extra coverage under my feet from what I've found. But I keep this around because, again, it's nice to have on the trail. Doesn't really weigh anything. It's virtually weightless. I fold it like that and it hangs right on my ridge line. And anytime that I want some extra coverage, whether it's my feet or maybe I have a cold spot on my shoulder, I just tuck it back there or wherever the cold spot is, adjust, I'm ready to go. Another great thing about this pad, price. This thing is under $10. Now, prices fluctuate all the time, but actually, as of right now, it's under $7 on Dutch's site. I think it's $6.75. I picked it up. He didn't send it to me. I picked it up myself. Actually ended up with 2 of them because I like them. So a total of 13 bucks, and my wife and I both have one. I figured it was a low cost of entry to try it out, and it really paid off. It's become one of my favorite pieces of gear as far as ultralight backpacking goes. Maybe you're not a hammock camper needing the things I just mentioned, but you just want something to sit down on. You might not even be backpacking overnight. Just doing a day hike, it's nice to bust this out and sit on. Now, of course, there are plenty of options out there. So if you have some suggestions out there, I'd be really interested in hearing them. I know like therm-a-rest, they make those big full-length pads, inflatable ones for sleeping on with your sleeping bag. I know they make some options for sitting as well that are around this size, but obviously thicker and probably weigh more. Definitely don't weigh half an ounce, but of course there's pluses and minuses to everything. I think they even make one with kind of a back on it. I'm sure there's other brands that do similar things. So if you know of some that have worked for you, please feel free to share that. I'm also particularly interested if there's any DIY suggestions out there. Maybe some of you out there have found some different foams that you find are handy to work with for doing your own kind of applications. But if you're looking to try out a sit pad with a minimal entry cost, I'd say check this out. I figured it was worth sharing with you guys. I think it's a pretty cool trade-off of minimalism and function. So there you have it, the Dutchware Foldable Sit Pad. Till next time, I'm Syntax77. You have fun out there. Wait, why are you at the breakfast table?